My name is Jamie Wood, and this is the sections 4 through 6 of the lesson plan, starting with activities. The activities I have planned start with introduction and model, and as a class we will review previous equation information by asking my students to answer questions from previous lesson homework and terminology flashcards. We will introduce, I will introduce the new equation terms and applications, and we will work problems on the whiteboard or smartboard. We will go into a guided classroom practice where we will use the activity Three's a Crowd, and it's under the Think, Pair, Share instructional strategy. I will present students with 3 expressions, and they will need to determine which expressions are equivalent and which expressions do not belong. They will use their knowledge of simplifying expressions to justify their reasoning. And then in independent practice, we will do practice problem worksheets for repetition. And then formative assessment. We will recap what was learned today by asking students to create their own Three's a Crowd expressions in their groups, and then they can trade their questions with each group and work on more problems. I have chosen these activities because I think students need information modeled first. My role as their teacher, I want to be able to teach them first, and then through cooperative learning in groups, which is highly engaging, and it helps the students develop social skills while they're better understanding their content. And at this point, using my second standard for the English, we will be they should have a better understanding of the terms and the constant terms and variable terms, and as the activity progresses, more specific vocabulary will be developed. And then practice makes perfect. Using independent practice worksheets, I can assess how each student is understanding the content, and we will bring it all together by letting the students take ownership of the lesson and recap what is learned when they get to make their own version of the activity. And then the materials I will use will include a smartboard or a whiteboard or both, depending on what's available to me. I don't actually know. We will use terminology flashcard. I just think a fun way to look at the words and the definitions and show how important they are in a fun way. And then the Three's a Crowd worksheet. I've chosen these materials, smartboard and whiteboards. They create an easy and efficient way to deliver the new material to students in a whole group setting, and everybody can see. Flashcards are a great tool for memorization and learning new vocabulary, and to help further the students' understanding of the equations. And an activity worksheet is an easy, fun, engaging way for the group to work together and to learn the new material. And our last section for evaluation is going to be how and when I evaluate the students and their learning of the content. Students will show ability to apply properties of operations to solve the linear expressions with rational coefficients through section assessments like the activity worksheets and class participations. They will practice determining the meaning of words and phrases through flashcards and more activity worksheets and class discussions. And then a short section quiz will be administered after each of our sections to ensure that they are understanding each level of expressions and equations. I've chosen this approach for evaluation. I believe using class participation and worksheets during lessons will allow me to evaluate my students in small sections to make sure they are grasping the information before we build on it and move on to more content. And practicing simplifying expressions in their independent practice will allow me to know for sure that they are learning it, and if not, then helping the students individually where they need. A section quiz will let me see how well the students have put all the parts of the standard in the lesson together to understand the whole concept of applying properties of operations as strategies to add, subtract, expand, and factor the linear expressions with rational coefficients.